of course, this is huge news, Jason. Brent Venables, and we discussed it last week, and it's always just a guessing game as to what these coaches and their priorities are for their families and themselves and their careers. And for Brent Venables, we know that he has turned down umpteen other opportunities, both at the college and the NFL level, but this was the one that he must have really wanted.
Yeah, he's been very patient. He's maintained it, for ever since he's been at Clemson, that he wouldn't just leave to leave, that if he ever did take a job, it had to be the right one. He loved it at Clemson. His family loved it at Clemson. I think we talked about last week how he even moved his wife's family here within the last year or so. So it was going to take the perfect job at the right time to lure him away. And I don't think there are many jobs in the country that he'd have taken. But this Oklahoma one, you had to at least know there was at least a possibility as soon as you start hearing his name really linked to the job by credible sources. He spent so much time there. He's not from there, but his kids were born there. He coached there for over a decade. It's kind of like a second home to him. I mean, it just seems like the perfect fit at the perfect time.
Yeah, this was not a guy that is coming up through the ranks and the typical ascension that you're a coordinator and you would like to be a head coach. And so you're going to take whatever job is out there, even at the group of 5 level, to get a head coaching job and get that experience and go. He turned down Auburn. So there's a top 15 job in the country. If he's going to turn down Auburn, he was waiting for the job. And maybe because of his past experience, as you alluded to, at Oklahoma for over a decade, 12 or 13 years, there's an assistant. Maybe this is the only job he would have left Clemson for.
That's very possible. I think he was a lot closer to taking that Auburn job last year than some people realize. I think once they started digging into it a little bit more and he got more familiar with some of the things behind the scenes, that kind of turned him off a little bit. But he was very intrigued by it. There's no doubt about it. But this Oklahoma job, I mean, like I said, he wasn't born there, but it's kind of like home for him. I mean, he's from Kansas. If I'm not mistaken, he was born in Kansas. He went to Kansas State, started out at Kansas State, and spent all that time in Oklahoma. You just alluded to it. This might have been the only job that could have pried him out of Clemson. I mean, and it's hard not to be happy for him. I watched his introductory press conference this morning. I was kind of wondering about how comfortable he'd feel dealing with the media as much. I mean, he looked like a head coach to me. He looked like a new head coach, but he still looked like a head coach. He sounded like a head coach, and he sounded like a guy that never doubted for a second whether he wanted to take that job. It sounded to me like he knew if it was offered, he was going to take it.